Good Friday evening to you. Hope your weekend is off to a great start. Welcome to More Sports and Less Levine, the Weekend Winners Edition. I'm Dave Bacon. We will talk Browns football with Dan Labbe. We'll talk Indians baseball, and we'll take a look inside the NBA bubble and get a good look at some of the eats the NBA players are getting in Orlando. But we begin with our Browns and the NFL still kind of moseying along towards training camp. Well, word comes out that there may be no preseason games. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Something of interest, though, running backs in the NFL rated from 1 to 10. According to ESPN, this was a poll of 50 players, executives, coaches, and scouts. And let's take a look at the rankings. Saquon Barkley ranked number 1, McCaffrey 2, Ezekiel Elliott 3, and you see down at 7, Nick Chubb. Chubb's highest ranking was 3rd, his lowest was 11th. One coach said he's 225, 230 pounds, runs through arm tackles. You think you can catch him, but you can't catch him. There were 5 different guys who had votes as the top spot, and when you look at it, something that you realize, these guys were all decent teams, but not the elite teams, which kind of goes with the NFL devaluing running backs. Let's welcome in Browns beat reporter for the Plain Dealer and cleveland.com, Dan Labbe. Dan, as always, appreciate the time. What do you make of that? 7 seems a little low for Nick Chubb, but you looked at the line the Browns had, you looked at the fact that they fell behind often and were throwing the football, and somehow he was close to the leading rusher in the NFL.
Yeah, I was surprised to see him that low. And I think that one comment where you think you can catch him, but you can't catch him really speaks to how fast he is when he gets to that line. I mean, he's broken off some huge runs in his 2 years. He's one of only 2 backs with more than 2 80-plus yard runs over the last 2 years, which is really impressive. When you look at the top of the list, it seems like the value there is kind of all around back. So you've got Alvin Kamara, you've got Christian McCaffrey, Saquon Barkley, guys that can run the football, but also good in the passing game. But where it gets confusing is, Dalvin Cook is ranked ahead of him. I guess you could make the case for Ezekiel Elliott as this 3-down back. And of course, we know he's a very good blocker as well. But, when you start to get to those backs that maybe aren't those multi-threat guys, I don't understand how Nick Chubb is that much lower. I mean, look at what Derrick Henry had to do last year just to catch him and beat him for the rushing title for 60 yards. He had to average almost 150 yards a game over the last 6 games just to catch Nick Chubb.
And keep in mind the tackles that were playing on the line for Nick Chubb a season ago. So it will be interesting. I mean, everybody's making a big deal about how those tackles will upgrade the passing protection for Baker Mayfield. Nick Chubb's got to be the second happiest guy because he should have some big holes to run through.
He should have some big holes to run through. And this scheme, I'm just absolutely convinced, was made for Nick Chubb. He is a decisive runner. He sees a hole, he goes. And like we said, when he gets through there and he gets to that second level, I mean, as the Baltimore Ravens, the Atlanta Falcons, the Oakland Raiders, you can't catch him when he gets to that second level. He's that fast. And that's what really is the difference for him. And I think he's got a chance to have an absolutely enormous year this year and maybe get that rushing title that he didn't get a year ago.
Having said that, you recently wrote a piece for the Plain Dealer and cleveland.com. Who's more valuable, Nick Chubb or Kareem Hunt? Take us through that and just the thought process behind that.
Well, it's just such a unique running back room because I think if Kareem Hunt were a featured back, he'd have been on that list we just showed. I mean, he's that good. He won a rushing title as a rookie. And really the argument for his value, if you want to put him ahead of Chubb, and I wouldn't, I still think Chubb is more valuable to this offense based on the play action stuff and what they're trying to do with the run game. But Kareem Hunt is sort of the wild card in all of this. You can line him up anywhere. You can do a bunch of different things with him. He can run it. He can catch it. He showed off last year that he can play a little fullback if you ask him to play fullback. And right now, he's a guy who's in a situation where whatever you ask him to do, he's going to be happy to do it because he's got to just be happy to be on the football field after everything that's happened, after getting suspended. John Dorsey kind of gave him a second life by bringing him to Cleveland, his hometown. So he's still a guy that just has to be happy to be playing. So you can kind of do whatever you want with him. And that's the case where maybe he would be more valuable because he's multifaceted and causes so many problems. But the reality is Chubb is the more valuable back because he's going to get the bulk of the carries, and we've seen what he can do.
Do you read anything into the fact that, the 49ers, the Chiefs, the Patriots, some of the elite teams don't have a guy in this top running back list? Is it a factor of teams have kind of devalued that position?
And when you look at big running back contracts, they usually don't age very well. I mean, it wasn't that long ago that Todd Gurley was the next great back, and you have to pay Todd Gurley, right? So the Rams paid him, and now he's not with the Rams anymore. The Chiefs, I just talked about Kareem Hunt, led the league in rushing his rookie year. He's not there anymore. They just won the Super Bowl. This is a discussion the Browns are going to have. Nick Chubb is under contract through 2021. But this is an analytics-driven front office, and this is going to be a very hard discussion for them to have, especially because Nick Chubb is already a fan favorite. We know how running backs are treated in Cleveland. Folks here love running backs, and the Browns are going to have to decide on the value of Nick Chubb, especially with the type of runner that he is. So it's going to be sort of a fun and exhausting discussion in a couple years when the Browns have to decide what to do when it's time to give Nick Chubb that big contract he's going to earn. Do they want to be the ones that do it? Or do they want to kind of follow, like what you were saying? Maybe you don't need that elite back. Maybe you just need a guy that can fit into your system, and it's sort of a replaceable position.
Well, the other thing that comes into play with Nick Chubb, there is no fifth-year option because he wasn't a first-round pick. And that kind of works against the Browns. They found a guy that wasn't a first-round pick that's really good, but they don't get that fifth-year option to the rookie contract.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see what the Titans do here with Derrick Henry. He's kind of a guy to watch in all of this. They franchised him. They still want to work out a long-term deal. And, you're going to kind of get to see how he ages over the next 2 years. He's kind of that battering ram back. Now, he's built a little different than Nick Chubb. He's a big guy. But, if he starts to decline a little bit, that's going to be just another check in the box for maybe you don't pay a running back.
Let's move on. No preseason games, and J.C. Tretter, the players' representative president, Browns center, kind of wrote that they couldn't find good medical reasons to play preseason games. What are your thoughts on that, and how much does it hurt the guys with first-year head coaches and new schemes like the Browns if they don't play any preseason games?
It hurts a little, but the reality is, your starters don't play that much in the preseason anyway. Maybe in that third game, you treat it as that dress rehearsal. But I think you can get by without preseason games. And I kind of have to side with the players' union here in J.C. Tretter. I don't know why you would tempt fate and make guys travel to other cities and play games that don't mean anything. If your goal is to play football that first week, it was September 13th for most teams. If that's your goal, I just don't think you want to tempt fate and have teams go, the Browns would have gone to Chicago and Green Bay. I don't know if you need to send them there to play a practice game that, like they're saying, doesn't count in the standings. It hurts you a little to not get out there and actually play games, but you can do it. I mean, in every other level of football, there's no preseason. So you can get out there and play football games, week one if you don't have preseason games.
Tretter has been really one of the impressive guys leading the union for an association across the board. Very well written and well thought out the way he presented that, I believe. Did you get the same takeaway from that and just the way he's been received as the Players Association president?
He's been really impressive, and I like that he's putting up these posts every week where he's kind of laying out the Players Union side. It gives you an idea of kind of where they're coming from and what he's thinking and the issues at hand there. J.C. Tretter's a really impressive guy. He went to Cornell. He's a guy that, has always been just a really smart guy. Might have gone into law had he not played football. So it's not a surprise that he's excelling here in this situation.
Dan Labbe, beat reporter for the Browns here on cleveland.com as well as the Plain Dealer. We're going to step aside, take a quick timeout. When we return, we're going to talk a little bit about that unit that J.C. Tretter heads. Browns offensive line straight ahead with more sports and less Levine. The Weekend Winners Edition continues. Stay with us.
Presque Isle Downs and Casino has sports betting. Use one of our 50 state-of-the-art Bet America kiosks to place your bet and watch your favorite games on one of our many HD televisions or visit our sportsbook area. Only at Presque Isle Downs and Casino.
Do you like Ohio State football? Would you like to get information from me, Doug Maurice, about Ohio State football without having to look at my face? We have got the plan for you. Become an Ohio State text subscriber through cleveland.com. You send a text, 614-350-3315. What do you get? 2, 3, 4 texts right in your phone every day about Ohio State football. Inside information, polls, voting, all kinds of things. You can be on our podcast. We take text subscriber questions on our Buckeye Talk podcast every week. If you really want to be involved with Ohio State football, in season or out of season, become an Ohio State text subscriber from cleveland.com. Send a text to 614-350-3315. 14-day free trial. What do you have to lose? $3.99 a month after that. 614-350-3315. I'll see you in your phone.
As a kid growing up, my dream was to go to college, play baseball, and get a degree. Coming out of high school, I had two choices. I was accepted into a 4-year university, but I decided to come to Tri-C after receiving a scholarship. I got my associate's degree at Tri-C. They transferred all my credits straight into Baldwin-Wallace, so I started at Baldwin-Wallace University as a junior. My name is Tyler Leonard, and I earned my first degree at Tri-C.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine. Welcome back to More Sports and Less Levine, the Weekend Winners Edition. I'm Dave Bacon. We're going to continue talking Browns football. Dan Labbe will rejoin us in just a minute. We talked about Nick Chubb and how he was ranked as one of the top 10 running backs in the NFL for the upcoming season. Pro Football Focus ranked the top offensive lines, and the Browns' offensive line ranked 6th. So Colts, Saints, Cowboys, Packers, Ravens, Browns, then Patriots. Now, of note, Browns finished 2019 as the 23rd ranked offensive line. That's the biggest improvement in the league, at least on paper. Of course, they added Jack Conklin, right tackle, and Jedrick Wills, 10th pick in the draft, as the left tackle. Let's welcome Dan Labbe back in, Browns beat reporter for cleveland.com, as well as the Plain Dealer. And Dan, we've known about the upgrade for the offensive line. We've been talking about it quite a bit. It's interesting to see Pro Football Focus, the analytics-driven website, kind of agrees. And what do you think this means for the Browns, big picture?
Well, if you have an offensive line that you can trust, it just makes everything easier. You know, we've seen teams function with maybe shaky offensive lines, and the Patriots on that list. It seems every year they're sort of shuffling guys around, and they're able to figure out how to redo their offensive line and make it work. Now Dante Scarnecchia is no longer there, so we'll see kind of how that goes. He was a great offensive line coach for them, but for the Browns, it just sort of justifies everything they've done this offseason. And yes, it's on paper, but yeah, Jack Conklin, you know what he can do. You already knew what J.C. Tretter and Joel Bitonio could give you, and really the key to this is going to be, can Jedrick Wills be your left tackle, and how quickly is he going to develop, making that move from the right to the left side? And he was the top tackle on the Browns board. They really liked him. He was protecting Tua's blind side in Alabama. So it's just a matter of kind of reprogramming that muscle memory a little bit, and now protecting Baker Mayfield's blind side on the other side of the line. And if that works out, everything else should take care of itself, even that right guard spot.
And when you look at it, the Browns recently got that contract done with Jedrick Wills. It's never really a huge deal anymore because the money is slotted in. But how nice is it now he can go concentrate on football, not worry about the business side of it? Is that a big deal for a rookie who's trying to learn a new position?
I don't think it's as big a deal as it used to be. Like you mentioned, so much of it is just determined by the CBA, and even for him, you kind of know what you're going to get, but there is at least that peace of mind now. The deal's done. You don't have to even think about it as a player. You don't have to, your agent's not going to be calling you, giving you updates on the contract, things like that. And now you are officially a member of the Cleveland Browns, and you can just focus on it. And for the Browns, it's always good to just get this stuff done, because if training camp does start on July 28th, it's just good to have all these guys already in the fold and not have to worry about anything else in that week leading up to camp.
How important is a guy like Jack Conklin, who kind of thrived in the type of running scheme that the Browns want to run? That turns a tackle into a strength when the guards in the center have been the strengths, or at least the left guard in Bitonio.
Yeah, I mean, he's huge, especially with questions at that right guard position. We don't exactly know who's going to be there. The Wyatt Teller, Drew Forbes. So you like to have a guy over there that you can trust. On the left side, if Will struggles, at least he's got some guys that can help him out. You have Joel Bitonio right next to him, so you can do some things and get creative over there if there's some growing pains there with Wills. With Conklin, if you need to leave him on an island, you can do that. He's got that capability. And there are a lot of teams in the NFL now that sometimes put their best pass rusher over on that side. And especially if you're weak over there, they like to attack that side of the line. So now you've got a strength over there. So you can't really do that if you're a defense. It just takes away one other area where the defense can attack you.
How important is a guy like Bill Callahan? New offensive line coach, has had some experience as a head coach, and somebody that really Kevin Stefanski can kind of lean on if he needs to.
He's huge. He's actually probably one of the best acquisitions the Browns have had this offseason. He's a guy that has moved guys to left tackle and made them successful. He did it in Dallas. He did it in Oakland. You just read about him or hear people talk about him, and you understand that this guy is a really great offensive line coach. And so for Kevin Stefanski to go out and bring him in, and like you mentioned, he's got that head coach experience, which I think Stefanski really values, because now he can go out of his office, walk down the hallway. Of course, he'll have to be wearing a mask while he does it now, but he can go down the hallway, knock on Bill Callahan's door and say, hey, how do I handle this situation? I've never dealt with this before. How did you deal with this? How did you handle something like this? I think that's a really valuable thing for a coach to have. And Callahan's a really good offensive line coach on top of it.
So there was a lot of talk about what the Browns were going to do with Olivier Vernon, defensive end. Restructured his contract. How big of a move is that for the Browns? What do you make of the fact that they gave him, I believe it's $11 million guaranteed, and there's some other incentives?
Well, actions speak louder than words in the NFL. And they've been saying all along that they believe Olivier Vernon should be a part of this defense, and they view him as a valuable piece. And I think they backed that up because, yeah, they restructured the contract, gave him a little bit less money, but now it's guaranteed. It was going to be guaranteed a week before the season started, so there were still questions. I think this takes Jadeveon Clowney off the table, so they're really committing to Olivier Vernon here on that end. And I thought Vernon played well last year. He didn't put up huge numbers. I thought he played well. It's just a matter of health with him. Can he stay healthy and play 16 games, something he hasn't done for a while?
Does it take someone like an Everson Griffin off the table, or is that a different economic stratosphere, if you will, than Clowney for the Browns?
I think it probably would take him off the table. I don't know what kind of money he's looking for, but I think, now you've got Miles, you've got Olivier Vernon, you've got Adrian Claiborne that you brought in. And, look, if Griffin maybe wants to take a little less money and come here for a year to be that part-time player, I could see it. But I don't know if he's at that point yet. Maybe he can wait this out and get a deal before camp. And that's sort of how this changes things. Now, if somebody comes to the Browns, you're going to be a part-time player. That's guaranteed. Olivier Vernon is the starter on that other end of Myles Garrett. So you're going to have to find snaps some other way.
Shift focus. Last thing we'll talk about, Baker Mayfield. And kind of interesting, Charlie Casserly, guy who's a Hall of Fame GM, said he would be disappointed if he didn't see a big bounce-back year for Baker Mayfield. And it was kind of interesting. First thing he mentioned, different head coach, different play caller. That's kind of where he felt, that Mayfield was asked to do some things that weren't in his wheelhouse. I think that's probably fair. You were a guy that saw pretty much every snap in person. Do you think that's a fair assessment of what happened to Baker Mayfield a season ago?
It's absolutely fair, and you just break it down to something simple like play action. he was so much better out of play action last year than he was, with normal dropbacks. I mean, his rating was significantly higher. His completion percentage was significantly higher. And for a while, that sort of stuff was just getting ignored. The Browns, this kind of came out during the whole Josh McDaniels saga, but the Browns like to have their analytics department meet with the coaching staff on Mondays and kind of go over some of that data and stuff like that. And it wasn't getting put into practice, especially early in the year. And it started to happen a little bit late, but, it was kind of too late at that point. So they brought in a coach who really fits Baker Mayfield's strengths. We've talked about this before. And so if Baker Mayfield can't take advantage of a coach who really understands a lot of that data, is willing to apply it to what he's doing, and just fits what makes Baker Mayfield successful, then it's going to be on Baker if he's not.
Yeah, the other thing Casserly pointed out was Kevin Stefanski is going to give him fewer options, and he and Alex Van Pelt will coach him harder. Felt that he just had too many options, too many things to think about in the way they were trying to run the offense. Again, I think that's spot on from a Hall of Fame general manager.
And he's got so much better of a structure around him. You mentioned Alex Van Pelt. This is a guy that has made quarterbacks successful. Even if they aren't elite quarterbacks, he's helped them get better. Andy Dalton had one of his best seasons under Alex Van Pelt. Van Pelt came in and said, I want to change Baker Mayfield's footwork. That tells me this is a guy that understands how to make Baker better. And then you throw in Case Keenum, right, as the backup quarterback. This isn't Drew Stanton. This isn't Garrett Gilbert, Baker's buddy. This is a group designed to coach Baker and make him better and support him, and not do it in that buddy-buddy way that maybe it was happening last year.
Dan Labbe, Browns beat reporter for the Plain Dealer and here on cleveland.com. As always, appreciate the time and the insight. Look forward to talking some Browns with you, hopefully when they get back into training camp and do some football things.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
All right, Dan Labbe, as again, we appreciate the time. Time for us to step aside, take a quick time out. Some news for the Big Ten and the Buckeyes. We head down to Columbus, where Stephen Means will join us next. More sports and Les Levine, the Weekend Winners Edition. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Celebrate NatureStone's 30-year anniversary with a free NatureStone floor. During 2020, we will be giving away 30 free floors to 30 very lucky customers to say thank you for making NatureStone the best concrete flooring solution for garages, basements, and more. Call or visit naturestone.com today to register to win, and we'll send you a copy of our new buyer's guide absolutely free. There's no purchase necessary. Winners will be chosen monthly. With over 30 million square feet installed for more than 60,000 customers, it's easy to see why I always say, it's not just a floor, wow, it's NatureStone.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget. Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just the mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Welcome back to More Sports and Les Levine, the Weekend Winners Edition. Time to turn our attention to college football. Ivy League made some news when they postponed the entire schedule of fall sports, saying they may push football to the spring, and the Big Ten has followed suit. Conference-only football and Ohio State, because of positive coronavirus tests, pausing all workouts voluntary this week at Ohio State. Time to head down to Columbus and welcome in our Ohio State beat reporter, Stephen Means. Stephen, appreciate the time. I know they're not announcing numbers, but for the Buckeyes to pause the workouts, is there a sense that there were a significant number of positive tests for COVID-19?
No, surprisingly, unlike some of the other major college football programs around the country, Ohio State's numbers are pretty low, less than 10 as far as college football is concerned, which is pretty impressive given, what Ohio is going through on its own front. But yeah, they paused the workouts, but that's because any number over zero, they're probably going to pause the workouts and rethink some things. The idea is get the kids on campus, have some voluntary workouts, see how things work, and then anything over one, you shut it down. Anything over zero, you shut it down and you rethink it while you still can, instead of maybe starting mandatory workouts where you get in the fall camp and all of a sudden now you've maybe got 25 to 30 kids who have it, and it's a little too late, or you're a little too far along in the process to be shutting things down if you want to have a quality season.
So, the natural assumption from people that weren't close to the situation was that it was a situation like Clemson, like Texas, and you're saying that's absolutely not the case. They're just trying to get a handle on it, which that's good news, I would think.
Yeah, and that's what you have to do right now. We're in the middle of a pandemic. So, like I said, anything over zero, you're probably shutting it down because while the numbers are low, you want to keep them low and you want to possibly get them to zero. You don't want them to start rising up as you get into mandatory workouts where a lot of these guys are playing a contact sport, start touching each other.
The word also came out, Big Ten doing away with non-conference games, conference-only football schedule. Does that mean that they're going to push back the start date? Because first three are always non-conference. Are they pushing it back roughly a month? Or are they going to add to it? I mean, 10 games would be play every team in the Big Ten. Do you have a sense of which way they're leaning towards that?
Yeah, I don't even think they know the answer to that right now. I think the ideal thing would maybe be adding another Big Ten game just to round everything out to make up for the three because let's be honest here, the only non-conference game for Ohio State that we're talking about here is the Oregon game. Obviously, with the two MAC schools, that sucks financially that those schools aren't going to get that money this year, but those are walkthrough games for a team like Ohio State. So the real big loss here for them is the Oregon game. So that's on the table to maybe add another game, but maybe that does, or it could move back to start of the season as well. Just maybe we have a better handle on things. I know Gene Smith a couple of months ago, he was pretty optimistic about how things were heading as far as the direction, but now that doesn't seem to be the case. And a lot of that is because, and you see it with Ryan Day urging fans to wear masks. So either thing is on the table right now. It's all up in the air because of the situation.
What's your sense? Gene Smith, I think it was yesterday, came out and said he's no longer relatively certain there will be a college football season. Do you get a sense from those close to the program, close to the Big Ten, do they still feel pretty good that there will be some form or fashion of a college football season, or is that too early to tell now?
It's too early to tell, which is probably not a good thing because Gene Smith also said by mid-July they'd have an idea. Well, that idea doesn't seem to be headed in a positive direction right now, even if they don't have a full sense of how things are going to go. The obvious thing here was they were probably only going to play Big Ten games only anyway, and you're going to see other conferences start to follow suit here with that, just because it's easier to control things within this bubble than it is to send a team all the way across the country and another team across the country, and now you're spreading it everywhere. So that was an easy fix right there, is just to have conference games only. But a lot of that optimism seems to be headed towards pessimism because no one has an idea yet. And when you're 2 months away from the start of a season, that's probably not a place you want to be at.
Well, the flip side of it is think about where we were a month ago or 6 weeks ago in terms of the virus. It was pretty well contained. We were feeling good. And, that quote-unquote second wave has now hit us. So the one thing we know is things are going to change, and probably pretty quickly.
Yeah, and obviously they started opening things back up. People started going out, and numbers started to rise as well. But it's hard, because these aren't professional athletes where, as you see it with the NBA, with the MLB, you can just put them in a bubble. And because they're professionals, these are still students. And as Gene Smith has said, if it's not safe for students to be on campus, how would it be safe for student athletes to go play a contact sport and be on campus? So it's a little tricky that way, that you can't just do what maybe the NFL and the NBA are going to do.
You've been around the players. How tough is it on them not knowing, especially those seniors, not knowing if they're going to have a senior season? I know they could get another year eligibility and whatnot, but that's still got to be tough. You don't know if your senior season's going to happen.
Yeah, we talked to Josh Myers and Wyatt Davis a couple of months ago, and obviously they just want to play football. They're college athletes. They just want to play football at this point. And it really does become a problem if things maybe do move to the spring. Wyatt Davis is probably a first-round draft pick. Shaun Wade is going to be a top 10 pick. Justin Fields is going to be either the first or second quarterback taken off the board. So we're talking about eligibility. You might not ever see a lot of these guys playing an Ohio State uniform again, because why would they go play in the spring when instead they could just be preparing for the NFL draft? So, yeah, this gets tricky when you're talking about college athletes who just want to play football. But at the same time, as things move back, it gets a little bit more unlikely that they play the game at the college level again.
How difficult do you think it will be to try to determine a national champion, given the uncertainty, given fewer games?
Yeah.
How'd you like to be part of the college football playoff?
No, yeah, let's just say we are in a world where it's only conference games. More than likely, there's going to be 2 SEC teams in there, because we know how everybody feels about the SEC. Everybody else who wants to get in has to be undefeated. But yeah, picking those 4 is going to be tough, because there's going to be no non-conference games to go, well, that's your good win or bad loss. So I'm glad I don't get paid to be in that room. I'm glad I get paid to just talk about the people who get paid to be in that room.
Stephen Means, Buckeyes beat reporter here on cleveland.com, as well as on the pages of the Plain Dealer. Appreciate the time very much. Stay safe, and we look forward to getting more updates on the Buckeyes and college football from you. Thanks, Stephen.
Thanks for having me.
All right, we're going to step aside, take a quick time out. When we return, we'll talk some baseball, Indians baseball. The Indians hit and run straight ahead. When more sports and less Levine, the Weekend Winners Edition continues. Stay with us.
As a kid growing up, my dream was to go to college, play baseball, and get a degree. Coming out of high school, I had 2 choices. I was accepted into a 4-year university, but I decided to come to Tri-C after receiving a scholarship. I got my associate's degree at Tri-C. They transferred all my credits straight into Baldwin-Wallace, so I started at Baldwin-Wallace University as a junior. My name is Tyler Leonard, and I earned my first degree at Tri-C.
Well, hello, everyone. Let me tell you a little bit about Brown's Football Insider. For only $3.99 a month, you can get texts sent right to your phone each day from me, Dan Labbe, Scott Pasco, and Ellis Williams. In addition to that, you'll receive a Football Insider newsletter every day with special things from us, things that you won't see anywhere else on the site. You'll get breaking news, analysis, features, film breakdown, and things like that. Texting us directly gives you a great chance to cut through the clutter of Facebook, Twitter, other social media, and avoid the trolls. Also, it's the only way to get your questions on the Orange and Brown Talk podcast. So why should you sign up? Try a 14-day free trial. You can cancel at any time. All it takes is 1 text, but you won't want to cancel. We have hundreds of subscribers join us over the last year. They love it and have stayed with us. We're seeing the Football Insider community grow every week. And it's only $3.99 a month, which is less than 14 cents a day. What I like most about Football Insider is the opportunity to connect with you one-on-one and really communicate with you. So how can you become a Football Insider? You can click on cleveland.com/Browns, the blue banner at the top of the page. Or easier yet, text me at 216-208-3965. Again, that's 216-208-3965.
It takes attention to detail. With your local Bryant dealer, you're getting more than just a technician. You're getting someone who pays attention to your needs and the little things that make a big difference. It takes a dealer you can rely on. And to keep your family warm this winter,
here, let me show you how this works.
It takes Bryant.
Bryant, whatever it takes.
And to keep your family comfortable, it takes Smiley One Heating and Cooling. Find them at smiley1.com.
Welcome back to More Sports and Less Levine, the Weekend Winners Edition. I'm Dave Bacon. Indians undergoing spring training 2.0, or summer camp as some people are calling it, over at Progressive Field, getting ready for the opener at the end of July, a few weeks away. We're going to take a quick look at the Indians. We'll touch on the 60-game schedule they're getting ready to play, the opening day starting pitcher, and some clubhouse pranks in this edition of Indians Hit and Run. With just 60 games in the regular season, the Indians can't afford one of their notoriously slow starts. And Terry Francona knows it.
Okay, we start, and everything you do counts. 50 years from now, when somebody looks on the back of somebody's baseball card, they're not going to care that we had some damn virus that they probably never even heard of. This is baseball. And I was telling our guys, especially our infielders, I said, when the game starts, it's going to be going fast. I said, we can't try to do too much. I said, teams are going to give away games early because of the pace of the game. I said, we can't be that team.
This is my opinion, is going to be some of the most exciting baseball that you've seen. You got a 60-game race and everybody's in it. This is going to be the time to watch baseball, I think, is going to get people back into it.
With the Indians opener about 2 weeks away, pitcher Shane Bieber, a 15-game winner a season ago, gets his first ever opening day start.
It means a lot. It means the same as it did, 3-4 months ago. Obviously, it's different circumstances. I've had to wait a little bit longer in anticipation, but it'll mean that much more when it comes.
We're talking about the pitching, and trying to evaluate pitching is going to be extremely difficult. Although doing hitting also, I should say. But I kind of stopped myself and I said, you know what? I said, I don't care where we were, what time of the day, who we were playing. Bieber's 4 innings looked really good, and I meant that. I mean, he's I've said it to you guys before plenty of times, but I catch myself saying a lot of the things that I said about Kluber 7 years ago, and that's a very big compliment to anybody, and I mean that.
Frankie Lindor looks to be in mid-season form, not only on the field, but in the clubhouse as well.
Well, everybody's got to keep their hands clean, and I found a bottle that it was Pine Tar, but it was a spray Pine Tar. So I told Tito, hey, Tito, clean your hands, man, clean your hands. And I gave him some, quote-unquote, hand sanitizer. And he started rubbing it. Next thing you know, he realized his hands are getting more sticky and sticky. Hey, he gave me the good, shit. And I knew I got him. So then we had to get some more of the coaching staff members to make it fun.
He was telling me I need to sanitize my hands. So I did. And it was the firm grip they use. So I may not be able to get up off this table when I get up. I've used rubbing alcohol. I've used tape remover. It's everywhere.
Important to note, when you're Francisco Lindor, you can get away with that. When you're the 25th guy on the roster, not so much. Time for us to take a quick time out. When we return, a look at what some NBA players are eating inside the bubble. A new segment we're calling Socially Distant. Straight ahead when more Sports and Less Levine, the Weekend Winners Edition returns. Stay with us.
Your home is your most important investment, and your basement is the go-to part of your home. It's your children's rec room. It's where your family and friends spend time together. It's much more than just a basement. Now is the perfect time to add beauty and value to your home with an authentic Naturestone basement floor. And every Naturestone floor comes with Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty. For a limited time, get our exclusive mini pearl stone for as low as $2.99 a square foot, plus installation. Schedule your free cost estimate easily online today at Naturestone.com. It's not just a floor. Wow, it's Naturestone.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just the mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Presque Isle Downs and Casino has sports betting. Use one of our 50 state-of-the-art Bet America kiosks to place your bet and watch your favorite games on one of our many HD televisions or visit our sportsbook area. Only at Presque Isle Downs and Casino.
Welcome back to More Sports and Less Levine, the Weekend Winners Edition. Before we go, each week we're going to take a look at some of the most unique things that we found on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We start this week with trick shots for Snowy and a look inside the menu in the NBA bubble. It's all in this week's Socially Distant segment. Chris Snow, the Calgary Flames assistant GM, was diagnosed with ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease. He's part of a clinical trial in Canada that has had promising early results. Social media has been at its best, spotlighting trick shots for Snowy to raise money and awareness for ALS. Some have been very impressive. From the Calgary Flames, they show Sean Kelso on a surfboard, the backhand he shoots and scores. We switch sports to baseball, still on a surfboard. Pearl Jam's lead singer Eddie Vedder spotting a Boston Red Sox helmet. Vedder, great balance, a swing and a drive, a solid single. On to the NBA, creating a bubble to resume their season. The 76ers, Joel Embiid respecting the mask requirements, also showing that he's ready for any hazmat duties that might arise inside the bubble. On the topic of inside the bubble, Troy Daniels gives us a look at a dinner in the bubble. Keep in mind, some of these NBA stars have personal chefs. Former Cav guard Isaiah Thomas says, no way LeBron James is eating something like that for dinner. And Isaiah may have a point. Kyle Kuzma of the Lakers with a very different looking meal inside the NBA bubble. So dinner choices are not created equal inside the NBA bubble. That'll do it for this edition of More Sports and Less Levine, the Weekend Winners Edition. We'll be back again next Friday. Hope you have a great week. Remember, Les Levine back in the chair Monday from 6 to 7. Have a great weekend, everybody, and stay safe.